Hello and welcome to Lilith Astrology. I'm your astrologer, Adama, and thank you for coming to my channel. If you're enjoying the content, please don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to click the bell so you can get an alert each time I upload a new video. So welcome to another installment of my Rising Sign series. So we are going to go over in depth the mutable signs and what it's like when you have one of these mutable signs on your ascendant or on your rising, as we say in astrology. So the mutable signs energy. Basically, let me first go over what signs are actually mutable. So we have the signs of Pisces, we have Virgo, we have Sagittarius, and we have Gemini. So just a little reminder about what a modality is or what mutable means. So modality in astrology, we have three. So we have fixed, we have mutable, and we have cardinal. So in my other series, I'm doing all of these energies and breaking them down by sign. But our mutable energies are basically are more flexible signs. So fixed is, these are more stubborn and solid in their opinion. Once they form their ego early in life, it's a little bit difficult to change these people. Once they form an opinion, it is no shifting or swaying these people. For example, Scorpio is a fixed sign, Leo is also a fixed sign, Taurus is also a fixed sign, and Aquarius. So when we have mutable signs, these people are, they can take a lot of different viewpoints to form an opinion. For example, like how Gemini really has this duality, that is like their opinion. They listen to both sides and they listen to different viewpoints, and then they form their opinion. But that also may change, 2 weeks from now. So there's no certainty with signs like these. Same with Pisces. Pisces is a little bit more of a go with the flow type of water sign as compared to the other water signs like Scorpio is very, fixed. Virgo is also, it's a mutable earth sign. So really, these are the types of people that take on data, take in analytics, take in their surroundings, and they form an opinion based on logic, and they may look at different sides as well. And Sagittarius, all about higher learning and expansion through life experience and through learning. So, it makes sense that these signs are very open and can kind of shift their perspective from one side to the next. So basically, and I'll go over this briefly because I did in our other modality series, parts of the series. A rising sign is also called the Ascendant, and that is what sign was at the east or the eastern horizon when you were born. So this is really the lens that you see the world through. This is really how you come off to people when you first meet them. This is why it's difficult. People, when they meet me, they're like, "Oh, you're an astrologer, guess my sign." And I'm like, "Do you know your rising sign? Because I'll have an easier time guessing that unless, you have a double sign, double rising and sun, and then I can see through that mask a little bit easier." But basically, this is how you come off to people. Mine happens to be Cancer. This is a cardinal sign, and I've gone over that if you want to check that out in another video. But basically, that's how you come off to people, and that's the vibe that you give, that's the impression you give off. And it also lays out the structure of your chart and how the houses are set up and how your life path is set up. A lot of the time, having the same ascendant with another person is a great form of compatibility because your birth charts are set up in a similar way. And especially if you're around the same age, you can have a lot of the same planetary placements, give or take some degrees. So I think it's very important to know your rising sign. And the way that you can find that is by knowing your birth time. So that's why it's just extremely important. I don't give readings unless someone knows a close to accurate or accurate birth time, because I can't see really how your houses are set up and where your planetary placements truly are. So, the rising sign is extremely important. That's why I'm doing a whole series on it, because I feel like it's also the basis of astrology and your astrological makeup. And, another, energy that the rising sign is past life energy. So this was a sign that you were in another, I guess you could say, dimension, or in another multiverse, in another time, before you are living out this karma. That was a past energy. So that's why it's still apparent in who you are. And it's something that is subconscious. It's honestly also, the rising sign is not really something that you just are like, I'm going to act like, a Cancer today. I'm going to act like a Gemini. That's just not how it works. That's just how you come off. And it's just naturally how you are. And a lot of it can be learned too from past life, but then also as a child. And it can say a lot about how you were treated as a child and what experiences you've had, because that's just your subconscious way of being and walking through the world. So let's get right into the first sign. I'm going to start off with Gemini. And yeah, let's get started. So Gemini is a mutable sign. Gemini is mutable air. So ruled by the sign Mercury. That means when you have Gemini on your rising sign, you have Gemini on your ascendant, it rules your chart. Mercury rules your chart. So also it's interesting when I say that during Mercury retrograde, Geminis are more affected. Gemini risings, y'all are affected too. It's not just the sun signs, because Mercury rules your chart. So that's a very important hallmark, an important part of your chart. Gemini risings can make for great speakers, great writers, great event planners, people who deal with social events, people who deal with networking and connecting other people, and socializing. These are very social and chatty people. So when you have Gemini on your ascendant, that means you have Gemini in the first house of self and how you express yourself. So that's why these people can be great speakers. They can be great writers. People would consider them friendly. Mercury ruling their chart, they know how to communicate. Depending on how your Mercury is aspected and what sign your Mercury is in, these people really know how to communicate, and their throat chakra is usually an important part of their life. Their speaking and the way that they express themselves to the world is an important part of their being, an important part of their life. I think these people could also make great childhood educators. Gemini is not only about siblings, but it's about childhood education, and who you meet when you're a child, and how you talk and communicate, and how you develop that verbal communication. So these people can also be great at helping other people speak and being great speech teachers, or someone who helps encourage others through speaking and the written word. So moving on to the second house, these folks have Cancer. The second house is all about earned income. This is the Taurus house. So not only is it about earned income and the material goods that you amass and the things that you can get through what you do for a living, it's about self-worth. It's about how you feel about yourself. It's about worth and receiving. Money is not just an object. Money is energy. So that's why money is in this house, because it's, I'm worth this, so this is what I believe I'm worth this, so this is what I receive back from the universe. And so when you have Cancer here, these people really can be emotional about this part of their life. I think their mother may have played a huge part in creating their self-worth and really uplifting them enough to be able to create material abundance for themselves. That is she's a very important role in their life in terms of that. I think they can also look at more maternal ways of creating an income. I think this kind of goes back to the childhood education. Having Cancer in the second house, you really, through nurturing others, can create abundance and create material wealth for yourself. I think one big thing for Cancer in the second or Gemini ascendants to remember is to not cling to their possessions. Cancer energy has a tend to cling and kind of grab hold of something and not let it go, and really be sentimental about things and not get rid of them. So I think it's important to also remember that you are not your things, and security is important, but you don't want to become consumed with creating security and getting material possessions for yourself. I think another thing too is they can become too dependent on gaining these material resources and become too dependent on them. And that can create some difficulty for them in their lives. So it's just important to remember, those things. But generally, it's a pretty beautiful energy, I think, to have, especially someone who loves to nurture others and take care of other people for a living. Someone maybe like a nurse, or someone who cares for children. I think it's a beautiful energy to have as well. So moving on to the third house. So the third house is actually in the sign of Leo. And Leo is all about self-expression, creativity, children. So this again can make for someone who's great with children. The third house is all about communication and how you express yourself. Mercury rules your chart. So the third house for Gemini rising is very important. And having Leo here, actually, Gemini risings can get along very well with Leos. This triggers like the inner child in them. Conversations can just be so lively and happy and fun. And really, that's such an energy of a Gemini rising, is that when they communicate, they just want to have playful, creative, fun communication. This can make for a great storyteller, fiction stories, anything creative and fun. These people just love to communicate in that way. They can really be great with children and really, take to communicating with children very well. So moving on to the fourth house, and that is in Virgo. So when the fourth house is in Virgo, or when Virgo, I should say, is in the fourth house. So when you think about Virgo energy, this is another fellow mutable sign. But when you think of Virgo energy, this is really all about cleanliness, health, routine, analyzing perfectionism, organization. So these folks, they may seem happy and bubbly on the surface, but at home, they like things organized. They like things structured. They really like an earthy palace they can come back to that's, set up a certain way. And they really want to feel like they're in a clean and healthy environment. They may also just really take care of themselves when they're at home. They may really take care of their schedule when they're at home. They get to bed at a great time. They make sure they have enough sleep. They're eating healthy at home. I think also growing up, they may have had parents that were very interested in health and making sure their children were healthy, making sure they're eating properly. They may have had a super routine type of family that really wanted them to maximize their full day. And so they brought this, with them into adulthood and into their home life. So it's very interesting how these people, Gemini and your ascendant, you seem kind of like out there and social and bubbly and, get bouncing around from place to place. But at home, it's very organized. And also Mercury ruling your chart. This is another important part of their life. And they really, even though they like to be out there and they like to be outgoing and, be social, they also, I think, do like to stay at home as well. So moving on to the fifth house, where you have Libra. And the fifth house is the Leo house, and it's all about self-expression, creativity, fun, gambling, how you have a good time, acting, the creative arts. These are all in the fifth house. So when you have Libra, which is also ruled by Venus, and that's also about beauty and love and aesthetics. So this is very important to these people. And dating is also in this sign. So Gemini risings really want someone aesthetically pleasing. They want someone who's fun. They want someone who is artistic or creative, really can make them happy and really is something, that can entertain them, and that's really something that they're looking for. I think in terms of dating, they really do want to partner up, even though Geminis can come off very flighty. I think when they find someone that can really entertain them and really keep them, here, they really do want to partner up. Libra rules partnerships. Venus rules partnerships. So when you have Libra in your 5th house, you really do. You want to date. You want to get out there. You want to meet people, because then you can finally find that person and partner up. I think also these people can be very creative. They have some very creative placements with Leo in the 3rd, and now we have Libra in the 5th house. Mercury ruling their chart. The word and creative expression is very important to these people. So moving on to the 6th house of work and routine and habits and daily life. And they have Scorpio in this house. So these folks are very serious about work. They're very serious about their day-to-day. And again, going with Virgo in the 4th. At home, they are impeccable and they care about their schedule. They care about their health. But then this goes the same when it comes to their health and how they take care of themselves, and when they go to work and the work that they do and their day-to-day schedule is very important to these people, and they can be very intense about it. I think they're very driven. I think also these people really, once they get onto a fitness schedule or once they find a way of eating that works for them, they kind of go all in with it, and that's just, it's very hard to kind of shake them from the schedule, because if it works for them and it's keeping them healthy and they're happy, that's something that they will intensely go after. I think also in the workplace, even though they come off like with their, Gemini rising, bubbly, happy, friendly, social, at work they can be very serious. So there may be some sort of, there's maybe some duality here where it's like outside of work, playful fun, but when they're in work, it means all business. And they really want to get down to the bottom of what they do every single day. Moving on to their 7th house. These people have Sagittarius in their 7th house. And this is actually called the descendant. So you have the ascendant, which is Gemini, and their opposite sign is at their descendant. Or that's the angle before you get to the 7th house. And when you have Sagittarius in your 7th house, Sagittarian energy triggers relationship energy for you. When you meet someone with heavy Sagittarius placements, this really can make you want to settle down as a Gemini rising. You really appreciate that quality about other people. I think you also may be with somebody from another background or from another country, or you may really vibe and want to be with other people because you can learn from a lot from your partnerships. That's what your main goal is. You really want to learn and expand your boundaries and expand your mind through your partner and the partnerships that you make. And that's similar with business. I think a lot of you could want to work for an international organization where you can travel and where you can meet new people, and the people that you work with and make a contract with and form a partnership with are from a different background, or from an educational background. That also can be very interesting for you to be able to work with people who can just be consistently teaching you. So having Sagittarius in your 7th is a beautiful placement. And I think also you can find love abroad. I think you can find love with somebody in a completely different country from a completely different background from you. And that's a beautiful thing. So moving on to the 8th house. This is a Scorpio house. I don't know why I just looked all intense like that. I guess because it's a Scorpio house. But so these people have Capricorn in their Scorpio 8th house of death, transformation, things that are beneath the surface. So I think these people could inherit money eventually from the father or father's side of the family. I think these people are very structured in terms of how they share resources. So after they're in a partnership and say they get married, or they have a long-term relationship or situation where they're living together or cohabitating or sharing, and there's an exchange. They are very structured and very traditional when it comes to that. They may want to split things 50-50. They may, if want to take on a more patriarchal role in the relationship and provide more, but they're a little more traditional or by the book when it comes to the sharing of resources. I think the way that they can transform themselves and transform their life is through structure and learning more structure. They are, they're mutable energy, mutable rising. So in their first house, they have this mutable Gemini energy, so they can just kind of be like back and forth. And same with their second house, they have this Cancer dependent energy in terms of earned income. So one way that they can transform their life, that's where the alchemy happens for them, is learning to take a more structured approach to their day-to-day and to their life, and kind of not be as flighty and as all over the place as they come off. So that's definitely interesting. I think also I think they are good with debt. I think that they are responsible when it comes to owing money. I don't think that they get themselves into debt as much, which you would be surprised, because Gemini energy can be very all over the place and just make decisions quickly and kind of think about it later. But these people do take their time in terms of, investing in certain things and paying for certain things. And if they don't have the money, they're not going to really spend it and get themselves into debt and owing people money. So moving on to the 9th house, these folks have the sign of Aquarius. So this is a very interesting energy. Having Aquarius in the 9th house, they really can make a lot of friends abroad. Their network can be just so wide and just have so many friends all over the place that really can benefit them. And they may have met the person twice, but they've always stayed in contact and have remained connected. And really, they really spread themselves out all over the world. And I think that kind of goes along with just Gemini energy of bouncing place to place, but then you have that Aquarius expansion in terms of their network and the people that they know. I think they may travel to some unusual places. They may have a different type of path in terms of their higher learning and where they may go to college. They may go into science. They may go into more academics that are just pushing forward humanity and pushing boundaries in terms of humanity, not something like English. They may go into biomedical engineering or into quantum physics to, help push forward, push forward. They may also work in tech. They may go to school for, computer programming. So these people really expand their boundaries through new age ways of thinking and through sciences and through things that are going to push forward humanity. And they also just travel to some interesting places, and they have no problem doing it. They have no problem having a weird experience abroad. They're like, I'm going to chalk it up to experience and keep it moving. And I may not ever do it again, but it's something that I now will know and be able to say, hey, I ate bugs in Cambodia and I didn't like it, but I experienced it. It was weird, but it happened. So that's I think it's a beautiful energy to have, Aquarius in the 9th house. So moving on to the 10th house, and these people have Pisces in their 10th house. Pisces in the 10th house is also a beautiful energy. Pisces are extremely empathetic. They really are the bleeding hearts, I think, of the zodiac. And when you have Pisces in the 10th house, this makes for somebody who's not super driven to climb the corporate ladder and climb over people and ruthless to get to where they are. They really are that empathetic, nurturing person in the workplace. They can be very flexible. They can want to listen to other people's viewpoints and take the other into consideration. I think they also are seen as that in the workplace. They're not seen as aggressive at all. And they may kind of go into fields that are not as aggressive as, say, you know, someone who has Capricorn on their 10th house, where it's like, I got to be CEO and I got to climb to the top. These people, you know, they may go into the arts. They may become a painter. They may become a teacher. They may just become, you know, they may become a nurse, somebody where you're helping someone or you're interacting with someone, but it's not at a level of, I've got to get from here to here. And like, I don't think they do as well in like a super corporate structure that just wouldn't fit them. And I think this kind of goes along with their friendly demeanor and their friendly nature. So moving on to their 11th house. So the 11th house is all about groups and friends and networks. And these people have Aries in their 11th house. So Gemini risings are very aggressive when it comes to making friends. They are like outgoing, fiery, they're out there. They really just have a very easy time making friends. They really, they're just bold and brazen. They'll walk right up to somebody and talk to them, and then this is their best friend for life. And they have a million best friends because they just have that drive within them to make connections and to meet new people and to experience new people. I think they're also very good at networking, and a lot of the connections that they make can help them with their career or where they want to go in life. And also Aries energy can trigger for a Gemini rising the house of friendship. So when they meet this fiery Aries, they really can get along with and have a great conversation because they have that 11th house Aries energy that's getting triggered. So it's very beautiful. So moving on to the 12th house of things that are hidden, your undoing, the spiritual realm. So Geminis have Taurus in their hidden house. So when you have a sign, or when a sign is in the 12th house, this is basically something that's in the subconscious and something that people don't see. And I think this is something that if you don't embrace it in a healthy way, it can be your undoing, or it can become something negative and something that holds you back in your life. And these people have the sign of self-worth and material goods and wealth and art and, you know, aesthetic beauty. So these people can really subconsciously want to settle down. They want to be more stable. They don't want to have to run around and meet tons of people. They really do want that grounded home life. I think they really do want to be more fixed and to form bonds that are not just flighty or all over the world. I think they really do want something that's more close to home. And they do really want to kind of be still, and it can take them a little longer to find what we, you know, real friends or friends that they've known forever, because they are just so, you know, the world traveler. They have friends everywhere. They can make friends so easily, and they kind of go through friends like that. It can be a little bit difficult for them, and it's something that they do subconsciously want. So that's very, very, it's a paradox a little bit. But, you know, I think knowing that about yourself and really kind of meditating on that, sitting on that and sitting with that energy, you can really fulfill that 12th house part of yourself. If you really, you know, embrace it and try to look for that in your everyday life. So that's Gemini rising or Gemini ascendant. And we will next be on to our next mutable sign, and that's the sign of Virgo. So I'll see you next time.